My name is Vipul and I have 11 years of IT experience. During my IT experience, I have worked on multiple tools. So I started my journey from the Informatica data migration tool, and then I moved on to the SAP world. In that, I worked on SAP Data Services, which is again a data migration tool which is specific to SAP. And then I worked on SAP HANA 2.0 on-premise as well as SAP HANA on cloud. And after that, I worked on SAP Analytics Cloud, which is a reporting tool available by SAP. And it has a lot of great features available to us. And then after working in those technologies, I moved on to the Snowflake Data Warehouse and also MySQL. Apart from that, I'm also associated with Data Vision as a trainer for MySQL and Snowflake Data Warehouse. Good morning again, everyone. So I hope you all can see my screen. And again, as this is again, as we have been doing for all the other sessions, please be interactive. You can ask your question, whatever you have, and what all doubts you have in your mind regarding Snowflake Data Warehouse. And if you think that I am going very fast or I am going very slow, then you can let me know so that we can also have the good pace and good understanding of what we are getting into. So the whole purpose of this session is to understand what Snowflake Data Warehouse is and why we need to learn that and why it is so popular right now. Okay. In between, if you have some specific scenario, if you are looking for some specific use case, if you want to understand on a very high level how things work, then you can also let us know. Okay. So I want this session to be as interactive as possible so that we all can be on the same page about the at least on the very high level overview of Snowflake Data Warehouse. Okay. Okay. So let us start. If this is going to be the very most used diagram which I will create during most of the session or entirely session. So this box I will consider to be the Snowflake data warehouse. Okay. Oh, I have a better PPT for that. Let me check if I have it. D drive. Um. What is this? Okay. Maybe I can start it from here. Okay. So Snowflake Data Warehouse, as the name very well suggests, it is a Snowflake is a data warehouse. So what data warehouse is? A data warehouse is where we bring the data from multiple systems into one place so that we can do the data processing, data manipulation. We can create our models. We can use that table and different reports as well. Okay. Till now, what we were doing is that we were having some companies who are using the databases to store the data, right? So if I consider that there is an application, it could be an application which is hosted on the mobiles or on the website, or I can say it is an app, or it could be a website. It is the same thing. Okay. So whenever we use a website in the backend, that app will use a place to store the data, whether it is a transactional data or the user data. Uh, let's consider the case that you are using the online shopping platform website, and over there you are looking at multiple products, what is the price, and then what all different features are there, what all different customizations which are available, and then you go there, you get things to the cart and you buy it, and then you place an order, and then over there you can also see you have multiple payment options, and then also you see that where it has reached, when it is expected to be delivered to you, and who is going to deliver to you. So there are a lot of things which need to be persisted somewhere, right? It cannot be created like on the files, right? We have seen that we cannot store data on the files because it is not very reliable. And again, if you talk about the files, and let's say if you place an order and after a few days you change your mind and you want to cancel your order, then it will be a nightmare for any commercial website hosting company to update the files uh, if it is going to be from a lot of customers, right? So if there is a website, we need something as backend. So that is, you might have heard some terms that the front end website development, front end app development, and backend development, right? So this front end of website or an application corresponds to different languages which help you prepare the front end of the application. If you're talking about the websites, it could be HTML5, it could be SAP Fiori, or it could be CSS, in which you will be designing the front end of the page of your website or an application. In terms of application, you can say you have specific Android application development kit, and you have your for iOS, you have a different software development kit. Okay. And then you will design your application there, and you need a database to persist your data, right? So this will be your database in which all the type of information will be stored, whether it is the product information, customer information, your card details, or your card details as well, right? And your transactional information, everything will be shared, will be present over here. So that this database will be helpful for multiple vendors to plan their order. That is what we have seen till now, is that a company usually does not store all the data in one database. They usually store the data in multiple databases. They will say, okay, I will save the customer's data in one database, and in another database, I will store the sales data, which is the transactional information. And in some other place, I will place the finance data. I will say, okay, all the financial transactions will be here. And because my company will be used in multiple countries, so I will have to maintain the currency conversion and everything over here as well, right? I will have another database for keeping the product catalog, right? Where I can keep the product information and everything will be here, right? So in this case, what companies will do, they will deploy different databases in the backend to store their specific information, right? So the application will be having an interaction. It will be, again, it will be not just one way. I will create two-way, because the app will be taking the data from the database, and the app will also update the data within the database as well, right? So it is better if I take the double arrow sign, because the data is being read from the database, as well as the data will be inserted or update in the databases as well. So this way, all the things have been working till now. Okay. So here, if it depends on the size of the company, but again, because there are a lot of databases, even in the databases, there will be a lot of tables, because it is not like in the database, there will be only one table. There will be a lot of tables which will be linking to each other, and then there will be a lot of parent-child hierarchy within the different tables as well, right? So this is what we have been doing so far. And if you consider the Flipkart, then Flipkart or Amazon or any commercial website or any website, every website will be working like that. Okay. There will be additional information which we do not want to reconsider. There could be like the security aspects. There is going to be authentication aspects. We are not going to discuss it right now. Just a simple scenario of what usually things look like in the front end and back end kind of things. Okay. Now, the other companies want to make some decisions. It is not just like just storing the data, manipulating the data, updating the data is not going to solve all their purposes. They also want to make some decisions on top of it, right? So then now the problem comes that before, in the very early stages, company used to create all their reports and all their analysis within the same database, right? What they did is that, okay, let us, if you want to understand the customer behavior, they used to create some additional models or additional tables or pre-calculated columns within the same database or across a different database as well, right? Maybe in the customers table, customer database, they will bring the data from sales, from finance and products, and so on. Then they will do their all the analysis in one place. But then the problem came, there were multiple problems. One thing is that these databases, which we call as transactional databases, if I mention it here, so these are all having the transactional data or the master data, right? So all these databases are having multiple aspects of data. And then what they did is that they used to do they had multiple problems, right? The first one is that the systems or the databases available available were under a lot of stress, right? Now, as you can see that because a lot of users are logging into the website, a lot of users are buying something, they are analyzing a lot of things, they are trying to make a decision, they are having a lot of different decision to be made. So that is why a lot of users were logged in, and they were doing a lot of interaction with the backend systems, because of which the databases were under a lot of stress, right? They were going through a lot. So if you want to do a reporting on top of existing databases, it will create more stress to the existing systems, right? So already some transaction is going on, some customer data is being created, and then if I create more reports on top of it, then it is going to make my system really, really stressed out, right? This was the one problem, right? And the next thing was scalability. Now the problem was that if I have a specific set of hardware associated to my database, it was very difficult to scale because it was very difficult to buy new hardware, to install it, to upgrade it, and then to use it in the same database. And one more issue with the scalability was that if I want to increase the size of the database, I might have to shut down my system, my servers for some time, and then have to upgrade it, right? So that was not possible because I do not want my website to be down for a few minutes, and it is going to create a lot of issues and a lot of incidents within my company, which I do not want, and cannot, I do not like as a user, right? That the users are not able to access something or to buy something, right? So the scalability was an issue. So we needed some other place where we can store the data and just for the manipulation purposes. We do not want to do the manipulation in the same place, but we wanted to have some other place where we can store the data. In the beginning, in the very first places, companies used the same concept. They use some other database. They deployed another database and they used to move the data from the live system into another system where they can actually analyze the data. So they brought all the data together in one place, and what they did is that this all the data which they want to analyze, they place it in one place, right? So this is from here we got two terms. We got something called as OLTP. So this became your OLTP system in which your transactional will be added by your systems, by your multiple front-end application, or maybe from the backend system as well. And then we got something called as OLEP, in which we will bring the data together from multiple places and when we will do the analysis. Okay. So this is how the earlier company segregated. They said that, okay, I will not touch the system for the transactional data. I will insert all the transactional data in the OLTP databases. And then if I want to analyze something, then I will bring all the data from this place to this place, and then I will do the analysis over here. Okay. But again, because this was another database, this was all on premise, it was not cloud based. The same problem which we had previously were also occurring in these databases as well, right? Again, because the tables were being migrated from a lot of places, it was under a lot of stress because a lot of data was there. And then additional problems which we used to occur was that the authentication and the user management became very difficult, right? Because there are going to be a lot of users who are going to be logged in, who are going to be using this table, running reports and so on, because there were a lot of people who were dependent on this and were doing a lot of activities on this database. So again, the same kind of issues which we were seeing over here in the OLTP system, they also started to show up over here as well. Okay, let me remove it for now. Okay. Uh, okay. So now as we have seen that again, because there were a lot of users, there was a lot of authentication required. So it created a lot of users management issues, right? So now again, people had to rethink some solution and they came up with something similar. Again, the concept was similar. Again, they will have again a different database, which will be an OLTP, but now it will be a cloud-based OLTP system. Okay, cloud-based data warehousing solution. Okay. Okay. So if I just remove this to avoid any confusion. So now let us understand what is going on now.
Hey, Matt,
Uh,
Ravi
yes.
here.
Yeah, hi Ravi.
So, hi. So the online transactions, whatever the web application,
Mhm.
will perform in the database. Now that will perform in the OLAP system. That is what you're saying.
Right. Previously, yeah. Everything previously all the transaction will happen here. But if you want to analyze the data, then everything was brought from the OLTP
Analyze
fraud
all
system.
the CRUD operations.
All the CRUD
There are two
operation will
things.
happen here,
Okay, the
OLTP.
CRUD operations happens only in the OLTP, not in OLAP,
Exactly.
right?
No, 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 no. So here you can see that the application is writing the data here and it is reading the data from here. The applications are not directly interacting with the OLAP system. See, only these
Yeah.
systems are getting the
So the
transactional
CRUD
data.
operations, so the
uh,
CRUD operations only will perform in OLTP,
OLTP
not in
system.
OLAP,
No, no,
right?
no. Yeah. So OLAP system will just bring the data from OLTP system, and then over here you can do the analysis on top of that.
Okay. And then why we are bringing this another cloud-based data warehouse?
Uh, because again, if you see here, all the system, let me remove it first. So that, okay. So here you can see that here again, the similar things which we were having previously with these databases, we again used to find the similar issue with these databases as well. Because all these, if you see, the systems we are talking about, these systems, these are all on-premise systems. So on-premise system meaning that all the data is in the client side and everything is being managed by the user himself. Okay. So these are not cloud-based solutions. So now again, it was very difficult to scale. There were a lot of users who were trying to create reports and to show the user their multiple reports. And then again, the scalability was an issue because you cannot scale very easily, very efficiently if required. And then again, the hardware compatibility. And let us say if you are creating a lot of reports, you might have to upgrade your hardware as well. You might need to upgrade your processing power itself as well. So it was very difficult to scale based on the need. And then again, additional issue which cropped up was the user management. That because the lot of data was available in one system, and it was very difficult to manage each and every user who should access what, who should not access what. So it was also creating a problem over here. So that is why the on-premise solution of the OLTP and OAP was not working fine. Is it fine?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So that is why what these companies have started doing is that they have started investing in the cloud-based data warehouse solution. Okay. Um, Solution. Okay. So now instead, so they will be completing dumping this system. So they will not use this. They can use it as well. It is not a problem, but just to avoid any additional confusion, I will just remove it. Um, to say that, okay, this data warehouse solution is not used anymore. And then instead of this, the companies will be having their own databases on premise. And then when required for the reporting, they will migrate the data into the cloud-based data warehouse solution. Okay. So in this case, our cloud-based data warehouse solution will be Snowflake data warehouse. Let me write it like this. So now the advantages we had with the cloud-based data warehouse solution will come into picture. So now with the cloud, as we have seen that we have a limited scalability option, limited scalability. So now, even if there are a lot of tables created, there are a lot of processing required, the scalability is infinite. We can increase the number of hardware resources or the processing resources whenever we need, anytime, right? So this thing helped us with the first 2 points because if you think that your database is under a lot of pressure, it is it is being used by multiple users, by a lot of front-end applications. In that manner, you can see that the cloud-based data warehouse solution were instantly scale up, can be scaled up, can be scaled out. We will see all these options in the further lectures. What is scale up? What does scale out? So it was very easily scalable so that whenever the need comes, you can increase your resources, and whenever the need comes, you can also reduce your resources. So in this, in terms of resources, we have two resources. So we will simply say that if I divide this box into two parts, so we have two sections. So one is the compute layer. So compute layer is responsible for doing the processing. You can consider it to be the CPU and RAM. And then we had the storage capabilities. And then the storage corresponds to the storage of data. And then again, because these two layers are scalable, can be scaled out, scaled in independently of each other. So it was a very good combination which we can use to store our data. And then the next problem which we had with the user management, and the user management is also very easily done with the cloud-based data warehouse solution. We had a lot of security features within the Snowflake data warehouse, which will make sure that only those specific users can use the data. And then how we can do the data manipulation, how we can do the data masking, how we can make sure that only so those specific set of people can use the data. In that sense as well, we had a lot of features which will help us to do the user management as well. Okay. So because there are a lot of benefits of moving to the cloud as opposed to the on-premise solution, so that is why this cloud-based solution provided a lot of benefit to the customers whenever you saw from the earlier solution which was provided, right? And one more thing which I wanted to mention over here. Here you can see that the websites are running as with some databases in the backend. These databases could be any database. It could be SQL Server, this could be Oracle, or it could be MySQL, or any database you can think of. It could be any database you can think of, right? These are all relational databases we have in the system right now. There is also, you can say Postgre is also there. Okay. So that is why this cloud-based solution is going to help us in the problems which we are facing until now. Okay. Is it okay now? I mean, anyone has any questions, please do let me know.
Yeah. So the reason for
Huh.
moving from on-prem to on to cloud, uh, 3 points what you mentioned was this one is the scalability and the uh,
Security.
second one, the third one is the maintenance, part of
Mm.
user management, whatnot, and then the performance,
Right, exactly.
right?
Right. I mean, these are the major sources. There are also a lot of benefits. If I say you can also take one thing like pricing. So if you consider your on-premise data warehouse solution, at that time everything was the user responsibility, right? Because user has to do the maintenance, he will have to take care of all the things, all the hardware aspects. But if you move to the cloud over there, the database management, there are a lot of features which are taken care by the data warehouse team itself. So we do not have to worry about all the features. For one instance, if you talk about the MySQL database over here, you will have to create your own keys, you will have to create primary keys, and you will have to do the partitioning on your own on the data. Whereas if you look at this cloud-based data warehouse solution, specifically for the Snowflake data warehouse, all the database management, all the metadata management, everything, even the software upgrades and updates as well, they are taken care by the Snowflake data warehouse team. Whereas previously it was all taken care by the database, the user himself, and the pricing is also good in the cloud-based data warehouse solution. If we look over
Okay.
here, right, because if we look over here, let us say in the previous scenario, when there are a lot of users who are writing the data. Let us say the sales are not going on very well, and the company introduces another sale, maybe in the upcoming festive seasons, and there are a lot of users who are trying to access the website, and it will create additional load on the databases. But after some time, the load will also come back. So it was not very easy to be price effectively because we cannot increase our memory, we cannot decrease our memory on demand. So we are fixed with the amount of memory we already have. Let us save this
So
database. If
sorry,
we keep
sorry
one,
to cut you, Mahesh, in the
sure, sure.
middle. Sorry to
Okay,
cut
sure,
you
sure, sure.
here. You,
No
you
issues,
you
no
were
issues.
just mentioning that the cloud-based data warehouse
Ha.
solution.
Right.
Why cloud-based data warehouse solution? Why not cloud-based database?
Cloud-based database can also be used. See, there are two things which we want to see. Anyhow, the data warehouse is also a database in the backend, right? So there is no segregation. Like, you see, this database can also act like as a data warehouse solution. It is just a differentiation which we have created in the database. These are all same things, right? These are anyhow storing the data in one place. It is just a thing, the difference in the backend terminology, right? So the database, we say that the databases are used to store the data, manipulate the data. They have a concurrency, they are used to store the transactional data. And we use the term data warehouse for a solution in which we want to do the data manipulation. We want to aggregate the data, we want to run our reports faster. We will see that, okay? Why we have
Yeah.
these
So
terminologies. So they are more of regarding the performance and what specific type of thing we want to say.
okay, I'll take a step back.
Sure.
So why to go for cloud-based data warehouse? Why can't we go for a distributed systems? Or
Distributors.
we have something called big data or Hadoop,
Huh.
right? We have all
Right.
these solutions available. Then
Mhm.
why to go for cloud?
Uh, See, if you talk about Hadoop or some clustering, then again, these are on on-premise and then they are all managed by the companies, right? But if you talk about these data warehouse solutions, specifically, if you talk about the Snowflake data warehouse, the management is done by the Snowflake data warehouse itself, right? We do not have to increase our resources. We do not have to reduce resources. We do not have to do the metadata management, the hardware the management. So everything is out of picture. Yeah, if you talk about the Hadoop in Hadoop clusters, right? In that we can say that we have different machines who are working together to solve a problem, right? That I understand. But again, for a specific use case, we are going to need specific machines, right? We are not going to process the big data all the time. Not all the companies are having the need to move the data for a big data, right? Some companies just want to migrate the data for their tables, which are coming from multiple sources, and then they want to process it. This is a specific case where companies want to process the big data, they want to understand the different images, they want to do AML things specifically for these things, right? Your Hadoop clusters. So these all things are going to be very difficult to understand, too difficult to implement. But again, if you talk about the Snowflake data warehouse or the cloud-based solution, the things are managed. That is one thing you will see very often. So these are managed systems, right? So even if you do
Do we
have
have
managed
any other?
uh,
Do we have any other similar solution?
similar
Uh,
solution to
no, we don't have. Okay,
similar solution to this this cloud-based data warehouse solution
yeah.
or the Hadoop.
No, the cloud based data
Oh,
warehouse solution.
this cloud-based data warehouse solution. See, the problem here. Oh, 1 second. I have got some other messages. Hello, I am not. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah,
I am getting a message. I am not getting your voice. Yeah. Anyways, okay. Okay. So now here you can see that. So the problem here was that previously we tried to create a database over here, right? Which was on-premise, right? But then it was again a problem. There are going to be a lot of user interaction which we have to do. You can understand it from here as well. Let us say if you create a database over here, you will have a specific hardware machine. If this is a database management system, right? This database management system or the database server is going to have a specific memory and it has a specific processing power, right? Now the problem over here was that you cannot scale up or scale down on your own. Whereas if you talk about the cloud-based data warehouse solution, it is very easy to scale up, scale down. The security is very good and pricing is also very effective. Over here, if you look over here, if your application is producing a lot of data, then your database is going to be a lot of, that is fine, right? Because the memory is fine, the system is used to work. But if there is a very less amount of users who are trying to access the data, again, your system is going to be sitting over here consuming the same CPU, consuming the same hardware. You cannot reduce these resources on the fly. You cannot say that, okay, because the traffic is less, I will go with 250 MB, I will go with less CPU. You will always have to prepare, you will always have to be available with these resources. You cannot reduce these resources. Whereas, if you talk about the cloud-based data warehouse solution, you can increase or decrease your storage, or you can increase or decrease your compute resources on the fly. Again, one more thing which you can see over here is that whenever we were having the on-premise systems, the on-premise system had a lot of issues. One more thing which was over there, which was lacking, is that everything was managed by the client, right? So everything, because we have talked about the stack, so here you can see that over here, you can see that whenever we talk about the normal, this is not cloud computing. These all layers are there which are responsible to be managed on the on-premise. You have to take care of the physical storage, you have to take care of the virtual machines, the physical server, operating system, how the data is going to be stored, the software update and upgrades as well. So all these layers have to be managed by the client himself. If you talk about the on-premise system, so there was going to be a lot of headache, and then the users has to maintain everything and manage everything, and it was the client's responsibility, and it was going to be a lot of issues. It used to create a lot of problem for the clients. Whereas when you talk about these managed, so if you talk about the cloud-based solution, these are managed solution, meaning that the client does not have to take care of all the different aspects. Uh, so the client is only focused on the application. So he does not have to worry about the software. So if you talk about specifically about the Snowflake data warehouse, so the software deployment, software updates, so Snowflake data warehouse will be updated automatically in the backend. You do not have to do anything. You do not even have to install anything. And then these cloud-based solutions are accessible through very simple browser as well. So which we will see. These are accessible through the browser, and these are accessible through the phones as well that we will explore for now, or different applications. In this manner, what we have done is that we have a very simple access to these different systems. Whereas if you look at this box where everything is on premise, we have to do not just manage these databases, we have to manage the connections between that. We have to make sure we have to have a firewall over here. So if I just add one more level over here, so these apps will not be directly accessing with the databases. We have to have a firewall over here. We have to make sure that not just anyone is able to access this one. Okay. So all these security aspects have to be taken care by us. Whereas if you talk about the, one second, one second, what is going on? Okay, so over here, as you can see that all the database management, all the software application, all the security firewall aspects, everything has already been taken care by the company itself. Whereas previously, whenever we had the on-premise solution, the firewall settings, the security aspects, and again, we cannot access these. We have to make sure that all these databases are secured, they are well behind, and only specific ports. We have to open some specific ports from there where they can access it, and then we have to create the layer of user management. So we will have something called as user management, using which we will have the client management as well. Okay, this is anyhow required over here as well, so I'll just remove it. So here you get the picture, right? Maybe from here you can understand how complex it is to manage this on-premise system, and how easier, maybe in the future lecture, you will see how easy it is to manage these cloud solutions.
And
Okay.
Vipul, I
Any,
think also in the cloud, storage is very cheap. And
oh yeah, again,
Snowflake
yeah,
sell is,
pricing, right?
yeah,
This pricing aspect
Snowflake
is always there.
sell its products saying storage
Mhm.
and compute is
It's
decoupled,
very cheap.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
These are
whenever you
decoupled. We
want
have.
compute, you can use virtual warehouse
Hmm.
and do as much of query DML operations, and then
Right.
you can set the virtual warehouse. Then you will
Virtual
not
warehouse.
be uh, uh, pricing will be not there for compute, and the storage is
Right.
cheap, so you can keep your database there for a long time. Yeah.
So this is where what we have seen is that in the on-premise solution, we are fixed with the storage and the processing power as well. Even if we are using more transaction, if we are having less transactions, so everything is going to be static. But over here in the cloud, we can increase or decrease our resources on the fly. And again, if you talk about this on-premise solution, here you can see that everything is going to be very constrained. We cannot have like 10 TB of storage, 20 TB of storage. There is going to be a hardware limitation at some point in time, because we are going to have a server in our organization which are going to be protected. So that is why there is a point where we will say that, okay, I cannot have it all in one databases. Maybe we will go with two databases. But again, you will have to create one more database, create a link between that, do a partitioning, dump your data from one place to another place. So it will again add a layer of complexity to your existing system. Whereas in the cloud, you can increase or decrease your resources when you're on the fly. That is why if you talk specifically about the Snowflake data warehouse, so Snowflake data warehouse falls into the scenario of software as a service, right? So in the software as a service, whenever we are going to use the Snowflake data warehouse, we do not have to install anything in our system. We will see that in the detail what is going on over there. But just if in a very high level, so we as a user will be logging in from the browser and we will log in into the Snowflake data warehouse. Okay, I will. Oh, where is that? Okay, we
So
will be
Mahesh,
logging.
where the application will be deployed, it will be on-prem or it will be on cloud.
Sorry, which one?
The, 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 the application, whatever we are talking,
This one?
right? So yeah, so that
Okay.
application or that app will be deployed on cloud or it will be on-prem.
We can leave it as is because this app is going to write a lot of data in the client. So we have segregated the transactional
No,
processing and analytical processing. Okay,
right.
we can have the analytics over here.
So
So yeah, if
where
this,
will be my OLTP system? Uh, like it will be on-prem or it will be on cloud.
these everything is on premise. We can do the migration of all these things in the cloud as well. So it again based on the client's requirement, whether they
Okay.
want the OLAP system on the cloud or they want everything to be on the cloud. So we will have to do the migration if you want. So the website can be on premise, can be on cloud. So it all depends on how the client wants to use it. Whether they want to migrate all these OLTP system to the cloud as well, they can also do that. Okay. So everything can be on the cloud.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So we are just talking about the client who just wants to keep everything securely, because if you talk about the financial companies, right now, if let us say if the company is using this system for a very long time, let us say they are in business for 10 years, so it will be very difficult for these companies to migrate suddenly to the cloud, right? It will not be very easy for them to move the website to the cloud. It is very difficult to move all these databases system to the cloud. So they just want to see the benefits of the cloud. So for now, what they have done is that, okay, let us do one thing. Let us move all the data from the databases into the data warehouse solution. And from there, we will see whether we are getting the benefit or not. And maybe once we will just do the analysis, and then we will, let us say, if you talk about any front end tool, can be Tableau or anything else, right?
So in this
Tableau or,
scenario,
uh,
in this scenario, we are talking about cloud-based data warehouse, right?
right, right,
Which is Snowflake, which is a data
right,
warehouse solution.
right,
Now, in this context, can we move our application uh, to the cloud where my
right.
database warehouse
Yes,
solution
yes,
is
yes.
okay?
Yes, yes, everything. Even these databases can be moved to the cloud. There is no constraint. It is just like some companies are reluctant. Some, let us say, if you talk about the financial transactions, financial companies who are having a lot of financial data, they are very hesitant to move all the data because here you can see that they are having a lot of data in these databases. So it is going to be a lot of work and a lot of management in the back end, which they will need to migrate this data to the cloud. The entire data you can see,
So,
right? Let us say if this is 1 TB of data, 2 TB of data. So that is why companies are, you can say that companies are also going step by step, and they can also say that, okay, all the transactional data which I have over here, I will keep in my on-premise as well. And for management purposes or for the aggregation or reporting purposes, I will just migrate this data from here to here. This is step one.
in
Okay.
this
Companies
context,
can also, in the step two, they will say that, okay, we will also move this entire transaction data to the cloud. We will also want to move this website to the cloud. So this is just here you can see that this is just one step of the picture. This is not, yeah.
uh, so in this context, we are calling it as OLAP, right?
Uh-huh.
Right, the cloud-based
Right.
data warehouse. Then
Right.
how our OLTP will fit into OLAP?
Uh, See, so your OLTP can all, you do not have to bring your OLTP in the OLAP. Right now, let us say if you have some data, let's see if you have some 15 tables here. One second. If you have 15 tables here, if you have 10 tables associated to a sales, um, one second, tables here. Oh, if you have 5 tables here, there is going to be a lot of tables. I'm just giving an example. 5 tables here and 2 tables here. So right now here you can see that the app is going to have a direct interaction with these tables, whatever we have. What we are doing is that we will move these 15 tables, maybe not all 15 tables, and then let us say we want to do some reporting. It starts from here. So now let us say that I want 3 tables from here, and I want 2 tables from here, and I want 1 table from here, and I want 1 table from here. And again, I do not want to have the entire 10 years data move from here to here because I just do not want to do the reporting on the 10 years data. Maybe I need to move just the last 1 year or last 2 years data for the analysis purposes. So this selective data will be migrated from these databases into these data warehouse solution for the analysis purposes. We are not going to move entire thing from the database from here to here. So again, that is what we want to segregate. We just want to move only those specific data and those specific table from this system only which are required for the reporting purposes for now. For now, okay. We can move everything, right? There is no constraint like that. Okay. Any questions? Yeah, Nair, Ravi, anyone else? Veena, Vara, Teja, Saurav. I mean, I will not be able to speak all the names.
So Vipul,
Pujita. Yes.
uh,
Yes, Prajesh.
on premises we see OLTP, OLAP, but
Ha.
on a Snowflake when it will goes, so how it will distinguish like which is OLTP and which will be OLAP? Like there will be some distinction made in uh, uh, Snowflake warehouse also.
Oh, no. Within Snowflake Data Warehouse, there is no restriction. You can also have the Snowflake Data Warehouse as a OLTP solution as well, right? So this is one scenario we are taking. In none, even in the future, we can also migrate all the databases on the on-premise to the cloud as well. Your Snowflake data warehouse is not just a data warehouse solution. Maybe its name will confuse you, but the Snowflake data warehouse can also be used as a OLAP system as well. You can store all the data. So here you can see that if we are talking about this system, at this time we were, if you go to the very beginning, we were saying that we were having a lot of data and a lot of user are interacting with that. We are not able to scale it and so on, and we cannot have the same place in one thing, right? We cannot do the analysis and transaction in the one place. That is why we created another box. But now we are having the limited scalability, we are having the security, we are having the pricing. We can even have the OLTP system in the one place as well, right? So you can have something called as OLTAP, OLTAP, which is going to help you with both the OLTP, OLAP, and OLTP. So this data warehouse solution, this Snowflake data warehouse does not say that you cannot have the database in this place. You can also do your transactional processing. You can also do your processing, and you can also create your models here. So you, because you have limited compute resources, you have you have unlimited compute and unlimited storage capabilities. You can even have it as a transactional system. You can also have it as an analytical system.
Okay,
So
so but
again,
basically the physical tables will be
So
remain the same, whether
right.
we say OLTP, but we
Right,
can
right, right.
do the analysis as OLAP also, right?
Right, right, right. So here what we can do is that if I talk about Snowflake Data Warehouse, instead of these databases, let us say if you are planning to migrate everything from here, then within that you will create a different databases. You will say DB underscore customer will have the customer data. You will have DB underscore sales, which will have the sales data. You will have DB underscore finance data, fin underscore for finance data, and DB underscore product for your products data. And then you will create multiple again additional schemas, additional database or schemas. You will say that this is your analytical schema, this is your reporting schema. So based on that you can create a segregation which you maybe you were asking for. So
Okay,
all these systems or all these schemas or all these databases will provide the transactional systems, whereas all these databases or schemas will provide you with the segregation. Here you can see that these databases will have the tables or models which will be helpful for the front end layer, right? So
okay,
here you can see that both the OLEP and OLTP are served by the same system. Okay. Can we create dashboards as well on Snowflake? We cannot create it directly. We do have something called a Streamlit, which is yes integrated within Snowflake Data Warehouse. So yes, we can do that. If this is a very new feature, I have not explored it, but yes, within the Snowflake Data Warehouse, we have something called as Streamlit. We can use that to create quick dashboards if required. Okay. So yes, this is what we have. What was yes, okay, we have that. So the answer is Streamlit. So this is just being launched in the Snowflake data warehouse. So uh, that is there. Okay, this is very new. So this is kind of a Jinja templating and everything. We will see that in the future
so
sections how
Mahesh,
we can use that.
what is the
We
database
will.
that we will use in this data warehouse solution?
What database? We can create any database within the Snowflake data warehouse. I will just show you once.
No, what
So
is the
let me
name
just,
of the database
it is the
that
name of the
we will
database.
be working? Yeah.
Name of the, you can give any name to the database, but this product, if you're talking about this product is called, so here you can see that we had a product called SQL Server, right? Within this product, we can create multiple databases. So similar thing will also occur within the Snowflake data warehouse. So your product name is Snowflake data warehouse, and within that you can create multiple databases. Maybe I will show you practically. Okay, let me log into my Snowflake data warehouse. Let me check. Okay, it's okay. Let's hope it is within the free trial. Okay, that's great. So here you can see that this is a Streamlit where you can actually create the front-end application. Yeah, the question was regarding, uh, yeah, you can create dashboards within the Snowflake using this Streamlit. Okay, it is not activated right now, but we have to do that later on. And yes, here, if I come over here, if I go to admin system over here, if you look at this, this warehouses corresponds to your this processing layer, this compute layer, right? This is scalable to whatever extent you want. And then over here, if you come down, oh, not here, but if you come to the data layer, over here, you can see that you can create a lot of databases based on your use case, right? So again, just like in your on-premise system or in the cloud system previously, you can see that in the SQL Server, you had to install the SQL Server, uh, and then within that, you can create multiple databases. Within the databases, you have schemas, and within that schemas, you can create tables. So the same thing will happen over here. This is your system. Within this, if I go over here, you can create a lot of databases. Within the databases, you can create a lot of schemas. And within the schema, you can create anything, right? You can create tables, you can create procedures. So if I just click over here, you can see that what all different artifacts we can create. We can create a we can create a table, a view, a stage, storage integration, file format, sequence, pipe, stream, task. So function, procedure, dynamic table. So all these components we can create within this Snowflake data warehouse, right? So this is how you can segregate your systems. You will say that, okay, this database will have the data specific to a specific use case, and then this database will have data to a specific use case. And then this way you can segregate your users as well. Let us say if you have, if you want to give access to a specific user, you do not want all the users to access this, so you can create multiple user, you can do user management, and only those people will be able to access the database who has the access, right? So very granular access is available within the Snowflake data warehouse. I mean, it is also available over here, but easy to manage here as well. You have advanced features like the row-based masking policy, the column-based masking policy, and a lot of features. And you also have a lot of capabilities which are available in the cloud, which are not there in this on-premise. We will see all the features, right? So there are a lot of granular access which we can create. The very first layer will come from the user management, who can access it, right? So here you can see that whenever I was logging in, I was providing a user ID and password. That is your user management that will decide who can log in into the system, who can access the data warehouse. And the second level comes that who has access to which table or which database, and who can access what. Okay, who can access what within the data warehouse, within the Snowflake. Okay, within the Snowflake. Okay, so these two levels of access we have. So let us say if I am logged in as a Snowflake data warehouse, but I am not allowed to access a specific table, so a specific column as well, we can even go to that level. If you do not want someone to access a specific column, we can also do that. We have something called as column level masking policy. So we have a lot of very nice access policies within the software drivers. One more thing which I want to show you, if I just go to the Snowflake data warehouse. Okay. Oh, I think this is not where I want to go. Snowflake. Oh, Snowflake data warehouse. I don't want to go to my journey. If I go to images, let us see one more thing. I have a very nice diagram to show you. Ta-da-da. Okay, this one. Okay, so here you can see that This is your Snowflake data warehouse. Don't look at this image. This we will see later on. This is something else. Okay. So I just want you to focus on this diagram. So here you can see that if you talk about the Snowflake data warehouse, we have a centralized storage, right? So this is very important to understand that the storage is centralized for all the different user in one place. We are not having multiple copies of data. We are having a singular amount of data because whether we are using as a database or a data warehouse, it is very important to have your database or data warehouse to have a consistent state, right? Because it is not like one of the table which is in the customer table is having is showing some other set of records, and in some other databases is showing some other set of records. So if you're talking about one entity, so it should okay okay so it should have the similar consistency. So here you can see that, so it should have a singular amount of data. So if multiple people are trying to access the same table, they should have a single amount of data, and all the data is now available in one place. So it is a centralized storage. Here you can see that this is also one of the feature of the data warehouses, that we want to bring all the things in one place to do the reporting, so that we can, it becomes easier to do that. Okay. And then over here on the centralized storage, you can see that we have something called as multi-cluster compute. So the compute layer, which I mentioned, the compute layer, we have something called as virtual warehouses. So we will see that later on. So we have something called as virtual warehouses. So this virtual warehouses is the compute layer, which is going to directly interact with the storage, right? Users are not directly interacting with the storage. They are interacting through the virtual warehouses, or they are inserting the data through multiple scenarios. So we do not have the direct access of how the data is stored, where the data is stored, and how to optimize that. Everything is out of the picture. So we do not have to worry about at all. Okay. So this virtual warehouse layer is that. And then finally, we have the topmost layer, which is the cloud services layer, which takes care of the optimization of the queries, the management, the transactions, the security and governance, which we talked about, of how the person is going to be logged in, and then the metadata management and the sharing and collaboration. All these things will be taken care by the cloud services layer. So here, if I redraw, oh, what is that? Okay, so if I redraw this picture, so, or if I just remove something from here, something which is not necessary. So here, no borders, I will instead create a browser over here. I'll just remove it. Okay. So now the user will be logging into the browser, oh, will be logging into the browser, into the Snowflake data warehouse, and then that person will be sending the queries to the Snowflake data warehouse, right? So this user will be directly interacting, if I remove this, to the cloud services layer. Okay. Uh, this one, this one, this one, this one. Okay. So we have the topmost layer, which is the, which here you can see that we have the cloud services layer, a cloud services layer. So this is how the interactions are going to be. Okay. So the very, oh, sorry. What's the center? Okay, that's fine now. Okay. So the user will not be directly interacting with everything all the time. I mean, not all the users. Some DBAs will be interacting with the virtual warehouses and the storage, but a normal user who just want to see the data or just want to run the queries in the Snowflake data warehouse, they will be just sending to, they will be directly interacting with the cloud services layer. We will see everything how the tomorrow, how each and every different layers interact with each other, how the requests are sent from the browser to the cloud services layer, and then to the compute layer, and then to the database layer, right? So all these things we will see. So here you can see that the user, as a user, so so this user can do a lot of things within the database. So based on their roles, and then they will interact with all these systems based on their needs. Okay.
Hello,
Okay.
sir. I have one
Yes.
query.
Yeah. Hi,
So
Prashant. Yeah.
this, yeah, so this Snowflake, what we are talking is like it is only relational in nature, or like it
It is relational.
supports.
It is. It is
Okay, no.
relational, but we can have different scenarios. We can interact the Snowflake data warehouse with S3 if you want the different kind of scenario as well. So it can, this is your relational database management system.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, sir.
But yeah, we can have, so advantage of cloud-based solution is that we can have the interactions with the other system as well, maybe S3. or you can have this connected with the AWS account, and then you can use it for other purposes. Maybe in the AWS we have different databases, DynamoDB, right?
Right. So I have
So either
one
Dynamo,
more.
Semi-structured data can be stored, right? Semi-structured
हाँ
data.
right, only semi-structured data can be stored, but anyhow it will be stored in term of tables.
Yeah.
So anyhow it will be stored in the relational database format as well. We can ingest the structured data and semi-structured data, but anyhow in this Snowflake data warehouse it will be stored in terms of table. Just like in the RDBMS, which we know it has two features, that everything is stored in tables, and then we have the relations between those tables. So this is it's going to be. But again, because this is based on the cloud and cloud interactions are very easy, that is where you can see that if you want to, let us say, do some AI ML on top of it, then this will be your source system, and then you can use uh, the the AI ML feature from the AWS system as well, or you can use DynamoDB, in which you will process the unstructured data. Here you can see that if we will say the DynamoDB, DynamoDB to have your unstructured data, and then you can merge these two systems in one place and then do your reporting, right? We do have some features from AWS over here. We can actually do the AML. Sorry, I don't remember the name, but this is here you can interact. You can let us say you have the AIML feature. So here what you can do is that all your structured and semi-structured data will come from here. I mean, I do not want to complicate things, but this is just in case if you want to know, if you're curious. This way you can bring the structured data, unstructured data in one place, and then you can do reporting. You can also use a REST3 to store your image files or something, and then you will do the processing. And this way you can use the Snowflake data warehouse as an intermediate as well, right? So I hope this answers your question, and I'm not confusing you.
One more query I have, like
Yes.
this,
Sure, Prashant.
how this Snowflake is different from this Redshift? Like, is it like
Uh,
totally?
Redshift is again, yeah, that is a very good tool, but again, the I what I will say is that that is very difficult to manage, and it is very difficult to set up as well. So if you want to have more computational powers, then you will have to procure more resources over there, and then you have to do all the management on your own. But if you talk about the Snowflake data warehouse, the Snowflake data warehouse is going to be automatically scaled up and down. So we are not worrying about how much compute nodes we want, how much this we want. We do not have to manage anything and run at once. We can scale up, scale down anytime we want. Whereas I guess the Redshift is more specific to different use cases, end-to-end pipeline. It has data ingestion, data warehousing, the AI/ML reporting as well. But this Snowflake data warehouse, if you are looking for a specific use case where you just want to have the data in one place to process that, to have the efficient use metadata management of your data, and if this all depends on your use case, right? So based on the use case, you might need different tools, and based on that, you can decide whether you want. So yeah, that is also a great solution, but it also again has its own pros and cons. And the Snowflake data warehouse, because it doesn't has AML capabilities, it has its own pros and cons. So it all depends on what type of requirements your clients or the user has, and then take that tool. Okay. Because there are a lot of tools. Again, this is like questioning the answer that you have the Microsoft Power BI, you have Tableau, you have the SAP Analytics. Oh, my spellings are wrong. Tableau, or you have SAP Analytics Cloud, right? So it is, these are all analytics and SAP Analytics Cloud. So you can see that we have these are just a few of the reporting tools. So again, each and every front-end tool will have its own power, will have its own weaknesses, and based on that, it all depends on your use case scenario or your client's use case scenario, what he actually wants from the tool, right? So it is just the same thing. If you have a specific scenario which requires the end-to-end pipeline creation, if you are more technical, if you do not worry about creating multiple nodes, doing the workload management, everything, if you want to get into that, if you want a system which is very easy to use, very easy to scalable, very easy to understand, very easily scalable, and again, then and also very easily integratable with multiple sources, then you can go for Snowflake Data Warehouse, right? Similarly, for your reporting tool, you will have to decide whether you want to learn the Power BI, you want to learn the Tableau, you want to use the SAP Analytics Cloud. Again, if you are going, I mean, SAP Analytics Cloud doesn't say that you can only interact with SAP, but you can say that if you want to interact with, if you want to do the reporting on SAP systems, for that you can use SAP Analytics Cloud. If you want the Microsoft, if you have your SQL Server, then you use Microsoft BI. If you have multiple different databases available, and you say you like a feature of Tableau, maybe some type of chart which is not available in Power BI and Analytics Cloud, that is available in Tableau, then you will go with Tableau, right? So it all depends on what your use case is. Based on that, you will decide what software you want. Okay. I hope that was fine.
Vipul, I think
Thanks.
Vipul,
Thank you, sir.
Snowflake
Yeah, no issue.
uh,
Yes, Pritesh.
Snowflake by default uses AWS S3 storage.
Uh,
Like most of the time, I think 80-90% storage
uh,
there. Unless
yeah.
you ask for you want your data in Azure or GCP, they I think go for
Okay.
AWS storage. Is it
So
true?
if I tell you about the Snowflake Data Warehouse, this Snowflake Data Warehouse were originally built on AWS. Okay. There was a lot of problem with the Snowflake Data Warehouse, and if you look into history of the Snowflake Data Warehouse in AWS, they were not kind of having a very good reputation, right? So if you look at the AWS, I guess AWS is Redshift, right? If correct me if I'm wrong,
Red
right?
Shift AWS. Yeah.
AWS, right?
Yes,
yes.
yes.
So what Snowflake Data Warehouse came and they created their product on the AWS called as Snowflake Data Warehouse, right? So these companies had a lot of issues within that because AWS was saying that you are using my platform to create a product which is competing without against my product, right? So here you
Yeah.
can see that. So there was a lot of it within these companies. There was something called as co-opetition, if you know this, co-opetition. So because it was not a competition, but it was a co-opetition because these both companies were having anyhow on the same place, right? The AWS but again, AWS had to give good support to Snowflake Data Warehouse because it says customers first priority. So that is why these companies were having a lot of issues. Yes, in the very beginning, the Snowflake Data Warehouse was built on AWS, but yes, it can be on GCP, it can be on AWS as well. The Snowflake Data Warehouse does not say that you only has to use the AWS or the AWS services or S3. You can also have your Snowflake Data Warehouse on the GCP and also on the AWS as well, right? So this is how it is. Originally, if someone asks you, originally Snowflake Data Warehouse was developed for AWS, but now it is supported for GCP and AWS. Oh, sorry, GCP and Azure as well. My bad.
Yeah.
Okay,
Recently, Snowflake has cleared many issues with Azure also, so they are now
right.
in better
They
shape.
are now they are yeah. So with time they are bringing more. Again, here you can see that this Azure is also growing with time. They are bringing a lot of tools and they are giving a good competition to AWS. The only good thing with AWS is that it came in the market very early. So that is why they are having more customer base. They are having more user experiences. They have had more feedbacks from the users. So that is why it is still ahead in the market. But here you can see that Azure is catching up. Azure came very late. I guess AWS, if I'm not wrong, I'm just mentioning it. AWS came in 2006 and Azure came in 2010, if I'm not wrong. GCP is very behind in this scenario, right? They do have all these capabilities, but I have seen very less customers who are using GCP. One of the customers which I know who work with the GCP is Alta. Alta is very big company. It might seem to be a very weird name, Ulta, if you can say. So it's Ulta Beauty. So this is one of the clients which I worked on, and they are using the GCP in the backend. So it all depends on the cloud, what on the users what they want. Okay. So AWS, yeah. If you see 90% of the people, they are using the S3 buckets to bring the data. But again, I do not want to go into all those things right now. Just let us keep it a very high level. Can we create new tables in, okay, so Saket is asking one question, can we create new tables and change the relations between the tables in Snowflake? Yes, of course, we can do that. So we can create new tables, we can join different tables, we can bring the data from multiple places. We are not restricted by anything. We can do all these things. Yes, Saket, so the answer to your question is yes.
Vipul,
Yes.
so how are we going to bring the transactional table to
Uh,
Snowflake on a daily basis?
Okay, so for that, we will do something like this. I will just remove these arrows. Okay, I will do this. So there are a lot of ways if you want to migrate. So we are now talking about the migration, right? So we want to migrate from one system to another system. Okay. So right now there are many ways, but if you talk about majorly, you have two things. We have something called as ETL tool, which is an extract transform load tools. So if you talk about ETL tools, there is something called as Informatica. There is something called as SAP Data Services, and there are a lot of tools like Material as well, right? So now these ETL tools actually are used to migrate the data from one system to another system. Previously, they were used to migrate the data within the same database or across different databases, but now they have also come up to help you to migrate the data from your. What I will do is that I will have a nice image. Just give me a second. Let me make it better. So all these are different systems, and then you want to migrate. Can be your master data, can be your transaction data, right? So here from here, you will connect it to the ETL system, and these ETL system will help you migrate the data from one system to another system, right? So you're in the ETL, your source will be your on-premise system, and your target will be your this Snowflake data warehouse. This is one way of migrating the data. We will see that in depth later on. But the 90% of the use cases, if I'm being honest, not 90, maybe I'm exaggerating, maybe 70, 80%. So what those customers are doing, they are extracting the data, can be their transactional data or their master data in terms of files, and they are placing those files in the S3 bucket. And then in the Snowflake data warehouse, we are consuming these files from the Snowflake from the S3 bucket into the Snowflake data warehouse tables directly. Okay. This is one of the very major use case which is being used by the companies. But yeah, these are the two ways using which we can migrate the data.
Are there any clients using Python for extracting the data?
Yeah, they can use Python. So what you can do is that you can use Python code using which what you can do is that you can automate the extraction of the data every time. So extraction will be done, the files will be created. So in the Python code, you can generate the files and then you can place the files in the S3 buckets, right? And so Python can be used, is a very versatile language. You can use it for file conversion as well. So let us say one more scenario is there. Let us say your database extract is being taken in the S3 bucket. It is in the CSV format, but you want to change the format as well. Let us say you want to format from CSV to Parquet. This is also very CSV to Parquet or CSV to, let us say, JSON. So this file conversion are also done using the Python codes, right, in the S3 buckets, right? So there are a lot different use cases which companies are using for the Python as well. Right?
But
Okay.
most of them are using ETL.
No. Most of the time using you're using the are placing the files in the S3 buckets and then consuming that over there. Very limited companies are using the ETL tools, but because here you can see that the ETL tools come with a lot of additional license buying, additional user creation, and a lot of thing giving the access to this ETL to the backend database. It creates a lot of issues. Yeah, if a company already has an ETL tool in their landscape, then they can use that. But here you can see that using the S3 bucket is very convenient. You can just take it extract from multiple tables and then you can dump it in the S3 bucket. You do not have to give access to this user. You do not have to worry about the firewalls. All your transactional data will be secure over here. And then you will have a Python code maybe. You give access to them to extract the data from this table. Can be transactional data every day or every night at 10 p.m. And then it will get the files. It will place the files in the S3 bucket. And then Snowflake Data Warehouse will take the files from here and then we'll import the data into the specific tables. So major use case is this one, this S3 bucket.
Okay.
Python.
Anyway, for keeping the file, I mean, like pushing the file, extracting and pushing the file to S3 needs any a Python code or ETL or something like that, right?
Yes, you can. See, ETL codes can also do that, right? We do have some capability. So, for others, don't get confused. We also have a capability that using ETL, you can, as a target, you can also you can also generate files, right? You can also do like that. So your ETL tool will be connected to your source. You can do your transformation if you want, and then your target for the ETL in this case will be your S3 bucket. So you will be generating the files in your S3 bucket using ETL. Or you can also write the Python code. So those Python codes will also export the data from here and will dump the files into S3. So these things you can do here to extract in terms of files.
Thanks, Vipul.
So yeah, so your ETL tools can also generate files, right? So your ETL tools are not just used to dump the data into a database. So in SAP Data Services, I know I have been using it for a long time, and we can generate files as a target. So those files we will place in S3, and those S3 buckets will be used. Or you can also have some Python code or maybe some other functionality. I have not used something in the backend because I'm not dealing with this thing. So yeah, if I talk about my customer, my client, so yeah, they are using the Python code to extract the data into the CSV format every night, and then the next day the processor will run and they will consume the data from the S3 bucket into the Snowflake data warehouse. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
I hope.
thanks.
Yeah. Yes, Kishore. You have something to ask?
yeah, Mahesh. So, what is the role of
Yeah.
DBT?
Sorry. My name is Vipul. Sorry.
Vipul. Okay, sorry.
Ah,
So,
yeah.
what is the role of a DBT tool
Role
here?
productivity. Okay. So here you can see that we have two scenarios. We have something called as ETL and we have something called as ELT. Okay. So here, if you look at the ETL, so the ETL systems or the softwares or application, whatever you want to tell them. So the ETLs will first of all extract the data from a source system. They will transform the data within themselves and then they will finally load the data into the target system, right? The target can be a database, can be another S3 bucket, and so on. So this is the scenario which we have been using for long. Now, once we have moved to the cloud scenarios, we have a concept called as ELT, where first of all the data is extracted, then it is loaded, and then it is transformed. So here you can see that first of all, your data from the on-premise system has been extracted into the Snowflake data warehouse, and then you want to go with the transformation. So you have extracted it, you have extracted the data from your on-premise system into the S3 bucket, and then you have loaded in the Snowflake data warehouse, and then your transformation is the third step, right? So here, what we are doing is that we are using something called as DBT. So DBT works only with the cloud database or data warehouse solution. Once your data has been loaded into the Snowflake data warehouse, and then on top of that, if you want to manipulate the data, if you want to do the joins, if you want to filter the data, for that purpose, you can use the DBT to further cleanse your data. You can say that, okay? So your DBT, I will, one second. Don't, okay, I will make it like this. So I will just remove this framelit to avoid any confusion. So this is, I will just tell you what it is going to do. Okay, okay. So now the scenario to use DBT, which is an ELT tool. So first of all, let us say if you have a table, let us say table ABC over here, okay, which you want to migrate to your software data warehouse. So you will take the data extract from this table, you will place that extract in terms of a file in the S3 bucket, and then you have, let us say, you have imported this table A within your software data warehouse, right? Now, what you can do if you want to do any more manipulations on top of this data, okay, does dbt2 cleansing as well? I have seen a lot of specialists doing. Yes, you can do that. Okay. Okay. So if you have migrated a table, so your table from here has been extracted, extracted and loading into the Snowflake data warehouse. But now if you want to do additional transformations, if you want to further cleanse your data, yes, as we have, yes, Deepnair, if you want to cleanse your data, if you want to do different processing, if you want to create additional columns, if you want to do additionally specify something on your data, then you can use dbt. So what dbt will do, dbt will take the data which is in your Snowflake data warehouse, then you can do the processing within dbt, and then it will write the data back to your Snowflake data warehouse in the same table or in the different table as well. Okay, so this is something here you can see that this is very different from ETL. So in the ETL, you were first of all extracting and then transforming and then finally loading the transformed data into the Snowflake data warehouse. Whereas in the ELT, you can see that your transformation is done after your data has been loaded into the Snowflake data warehouse. Okay, I hope you're getting the idea. If someone has any doubts or any questions, do please let me know. Okay.
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Uh, so we had a question from Deep Nair. He was asking, does TPT do cleansing as well? I have seen a lot of special characters during migration of the varchar data warehouse. Varchar data type columns. Yes, we can do that as well within the DBT, and also we can do that within the Snowflake data warehouse as well, right? We can write stored procedures within the Snowflake data warehouse to do that. Okay. Okay. So anyone has any questions? Yes, Harshal. Thank you.
Yeah,
Please ask
this
any question.
DBT is
Uh,
a cloud-based
yes.
tool or what?
Cloud-based ELT solution. I will show you that as well. I hope I usually do not find the specific website which I look for. Which if I say data build tool. So I mean, by the way, for those who are uninitiated, DBT full form is data build tool. I guess this is the one. Somewhere they have mentioned the
Because
sources
this
which we can.
DBT tool is a single tool or is a combination of some tools we call it DBT?
No, DBT is a single tool.
Okay.
So if I go to images, okay, so here you can see that. So this is an ELT solution. So first of all, we have loaded the data into the target. So this is your data warehouse. So this can be your Snowflake data warehouse. So here you can see that DBT works only with the cloud sources, right? DBT cannot connect to the on-premise systems, right? So you cannot connect to your DBT to your on-premise systems, one thing. So
So
here you can
it
see
is
that it
also,
connects.
sorry,
Yes.
it is also pay-as-you-go model.
Hmm. I am not that much into DBT, but yeah, the DBT sessions are done by Krishna sir.
Okay.
So yeah, maybe
Right.
you can check with him. So I'm not that much aware of DBT. So DBT and AWS are taken care by another tutor, right? So here you can see that the DBT also connects with your cloud services. So we have Google services. You can connect with Snowflake Data Warehouse. You can connect with the Redshift, and this is your Elephant SQL. This is the cloud version of your PostgreSQL. Okay, so it can only connect to these different database or data warehouse solution, and then you can do your transformation within DBT, and then your transformed data will be again loaded into the same table or a different table, right? So it can connect to different data warehouses, and then the transformed data which we have already seen. Once your data has been transformed, then you can use the reporting tool to connect to this. I will remove this is not required. Okay, so if I might remove this, okay, this as well. This I do not want. Okay, this also I can remove. Okay, so this is how you can have the end-to-end picture. So you first of all brought the data either from ETL. So in this case, ETL will not be required. So you can use ETL to generate the files, and you place the file in S3 bucket, and then those files are being loaded into a table. And then if you want to do additional transformation, you can use the DBT. And then once your transformation has been done within the DBT and your final data is in the Snowflake data warehouse, those data you can use in the reporting tool. It can be Tableau, it can be your Power BI, it can be SAP Analytics Cloud, or anything if you want. Okay. So this is the end-to-end pipeline, which we have discussed till now. If anyone has any questions, do please let me know. If I just zoom out, you can see what all we have seen. I will just zoom out so that you can see the entire pipeline. Okay. So this is what we have talked about today. Okay. We started all the way from a website, and then we have a complete architecture in place. Okay. Okay. So any questions? Any concerns? Anything you want me to repeat regarding to this entire pipeline? Okay. No questions? All good? Hello, hello.
Sir,
Can you hear me?
what
Oh,
all we are
yes,
going to
Harsh.
cover in this training? Like, if you can
In
give
this
some
training,
overview.
we are left. We have already done MySQL. We are starting with the Snowflake data warehouse. After that, we will do DBT and the AWS. Okay. These AWS and DBT will be taken up by Krishna sir, and these two things, which is MySQL and Snowflake data warehouse, will be taken care by me. I have already completed the MySQL, and we are now in Snowflake data warehouse. So in this course, these things are left. Okay. We do have recorded session for MySQL if someone wants to access them. But yeah, this is the way we are going into. So this is done. So I'll mark it as green. And then this is going on. And I will make it as yellow in progress. And then these have not yet started. Okay. Okay. So if you want a specific course content, what is going on over here, then we do have a video on YouTube. where we are explaining all the different sections or all the different features we are going to explore within these specific tool if you want. Okay. Okay.
Is MySQL is done?
Thanks a lot.
It's already completed.
MySQL is done. MySQL we did I guess 25th or something we did Monday. But we do have the recorded session. You can go through that, and if you have any questions, you can let us know. We completed it on Monday.
But hi.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we had a word. It is a demo section with all the Snowflake along with MySQL and
Okay.
DB2. Is this right?
We can do MySQL as well. We can plan for MySQL classes as well. Not a worry. Just telling you that we just completed MySQL. We can again have MySQL maybe some other time or as a part of this course because it is up to management. So maybe management will be deciding on something to have MySQL again or maybe a different time. Maybe I'm not aware of that. But yeah, I have completed MySQL on 25th. So if it is required, I can again have the similar classes. We do have the recorded session as well. So not a problem. We will take care of that. Okay, don't worry. If you are looking for MySQL as well, we will take care of that. Okay. So you can contact with the data vision. They can plan these things and I will take care of that. Okay. So don't worry about that. Just telling you that we just completed MySQL course few days back and we have recorded for that. Okay. Then I think that is it for the day, and I hope you really enjoyed and you gained some insight in this Snowflake data warehouse. This is just an overview session, and we will be going in depth into all these things. We will understand what is ETL, what is ELT, how you can place the files, how you can consume the files, how you can use the DBT, and again, you will also get an idea of using the AWS services. So it is going to be a lot of fun. I hope you will enjoy the journey. I will. Okay. Yes, Kishore.
Yeah, people, how will be the course structure? Like, can we get any project here
Oh, yes, yes. End-to-end project will be
like,
there. Ah, yes,
to
yes.
practice?
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure, sure. We do
Yeah.
have.
So
This is
so
your
we,
end-to-end, right? Anyhow, this will be your end-to-end project where you will migrate the data, you will create a table, you will migrate the data, you will consume it, you will use DBT to
no,
transform it. Uh,
no, what I'm asking is, in this
uh,
course, can we get any hands-on project?
yeah, 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 it is there. I
So
mean, the
which can
same thing
be
we will be doing as a part of this project.
okay. So which can be
Same thing.
included in our resume.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sure, sure.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, you can also already see what all different type of projects you can create within the Snowflake data warehouse, I guess. A very high level overview.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, anyone else? Else, if everyone is good, then we can close for the day and we will meet tomorrow and we will start deep diving into the Snowflake data warehouse. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
I'm very thankful for joining the time and giving your time to understand these sessions, attending these sessions. We will meet tomorrow. Okay.